Have you ever felt like the walls are closing in on you and fear is the only thing you can breathe? Maybe you are lying awake right now, staring at the ceiling, wondering how you are going to survive the storm that just hit your life. We all face those quiet, desperate moments when terror whispers that we are completely alone, unprotected, and forgotten by everyone. But what if I told you that God has already written the exact words you need to shield your mind tonight? I remember when my own world felt like it was collapsing. A few years ago, something happened that changed how I see this entirely. I had just received a phone call that no one ever wants to get. In a matter of seconds, my security, my plans, and my peace of mind were completely shattered into pieces. I remember sitting on the edge of my bed, the room spinning around me, feeling a heavy, suffocating panic settling onto my chest. I didn't know what to do or where to turn. I tried to pray, but the words just wouldn't come out. My mind was completely blank. Have you ever been there, where the fear is so loud that your faith feels completely silenced? In that desperate moment, I reached for my Bible. I didn't have the strength to form my own sentences, so I decided to borrow the words of someone who knew exactly what it was like to run for his life, to hide in dark caves, and to feel the crushing weight of real danger. I turned to the book of Psalms, and what I found there didn't just comfort me. It literally became my lifeline. The first anchor I found in that storm was Psalm chapter 91. You might have heard it before, but listen to how personal it really is. Verse 1 and 2 say, "Whoever dwells in the shelter of the Most High will rest in the shadow of the Almighty. I will say of the Lord, He is my refuge and my fortress, my God in whom I trust." Notice the words shelter and shadow. Think about what a shadow actually implies in our everyday lives. For you to be in someone's shadow, you have to be standing incredibly close to them. You can't be miles away. You have to be right beside them. When fear tells you that God is distant, this psalm reminds you that He is so close, His very shadow falls over you. Imagine a little child walking down a dark, scary street. If they are walking alone, every rustling leaf is a monster. But if they are holding their father's hand, tucked right by his side, the street hasn't changed, but their sense of safety has. The shadows of the trees don't matter anymore because they are in the shadow of their dad. That is exactly what God is offering you today. He isn't promising that the scary things won't exist. He is promising that He will be your fortress right in the middle of them. When you feel exposed to the attacks of life, you don't have to fight back on your own. You don't have to figure out the perfect defense strategy or pretend that you aren't terrified. You just have to step closer to Him and let His presence be your shield. But sometimes the fear isn't just about what is happening around us. It is about the enemies that seem to be actively plotting against us. That brings us to the second powerful truth found in Psalm chapter 27. The very first verse declares, "The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? The Lord is the stronghold of my life. Of whom shall I be afraid?" David wrote these words, and we have to remember his historical context. He wasn't writing poetic metaphors from a comfortable palace with guards outside his door. He wrote this when literal armies were hunting him down. Men with spears and swords wanted to end his life. Yet his response wasn't panic. It was a defiant question. Whom shall I fear? Think about a time when the power went out in your house completely unexpectedly. The sudden darkness is disorienting. You stumble, you stub your toe, you feel incredibly vulnerable because you simply can't see what is in front of you. But the second you turn on a flashlight, the fear dissipates. The room is exactly the same, but the introduction of light changes everything. God is your light. When people talk about you, when circumstances threaten your livelihood, when the medical report comes back dark, God steps in as your stronghold. A stronghold in ancient times was the highest, most fortified tower in a city. When the walls were breached, the people ran to the stronghold because it was impenetrable. God is telling you today that when your boundaries are broken, He is the high tower, where fear simply cannot reach you. You are completely untouchable when you are hidden in Him. Now we reach the deepest, most profound promise of all. This is for the moments when the fear is so deep it feels like it is in your very bones. Psalm chapter 46 begins with these earth-shattering words. God is our refuge and strength, an ever-present help in trouble. Therefore we will not fear, though the earth give way and the mountains fall into the heart of the sea. Just pause and let the gravity of that sink in. David is painting the most catastrophic picture imaginable. The earth giving way. Mountains crumbling into the ocean. This is the ultimate loss of control. Everything that is supposed to be stable, everything you thought you could rely on, completely falling apart. Maybe your marriage just fell into the sea. Maybe your career,